Hello, West Springfield Geometry. Here we are again. I'm going to go ahead and do the evens this time for this worksheet, reviewing arcs and angles with regards to circles. And this is the worksheet we're looking at. It should be on Blackboard. You should be able to print that out if you want it. Otherwise, you can just watch. You can fast forward to a specific problem that you might have questions about. And again, this is, I'm going to do evens. I had already done the odds from the same worksheet, and that's posted in here together as well. So anyway, the first thing I always say we need to worry about is, what are they asking? What do they want? And here they've said, find the measure of the arc or central angle indicated. Assume that the lines that appear to be diameters are actual diameters. So BFE, we want the measure of BFE, which is right here. It's going to be this angle. Now, with that in mind, I realize that that central angle has the same measure as this arc. So if I can get that arc measure, I have the central angle. If I have the central angle, I have the arc measure. And in this case, this is a diameter because it goes right through the center there. The circle is there. And that's going to tell me that this is a semicircle. If this is a semicircle, from here to here, it's going to be 180 degrees. Well, that's 180 degrees. 180 minus 50 degrees is 130. That makes this 130 here, which makes this 130. That's what I was looking for. So my measure of my angle equals 130 degrees, and that's the BFE. BFE. So there we are. Number 2. Number 4. Here I'm looking for the angle measure, or the arc measure UY, which is a minor arc. I don't want to go the other direction. I want it to be less than 180 degrees between U and Y. Once I know that, here we need to figure out what X is. Once we find out what X is, we can go ahead and plug it in. We also know that, again, this is 180. So if I can add the blue arc to that highlighted arc, I'm going to get 180. So I have X plus 80. And then X plus 108 equals 180. I know that this is a semicircle. This is a diameter. So I have 2X plus 188 equals 180. So 2X, if I subtract 188 from both sides, I get negative 8. So X equals negative 4, which feels a little awkward. But if I plug it in for the two places I see that, I can tell this is going to be 104 degrees. That's what I'm looking for. The measure of UY, arc UY, is 104 degrees. When I plug that negative 4 into that, that's what the answer is. And if I plug it in here, it doesn't pose any problems either, because when I plug in negative 4, I get 76, which means both of these angle measures are positive. I don't worry about a variable being negative. I don't want an angle measure or an arc measure being negative. The next question, number 6. Here they say find the measure of the arc or angle indicated, and that's arc WE. And with regards to that, I need to find out what there's a couple ways to tackle this. I'm intrigued. There's a couple ways to tackle this. I would say that I can easily find CW. And if I find CW, we're going right back to what we had done earlier. This whole thing equals a semicircle, so this equals 180 from here to here. It's 180. and I can easily find the blue arc that I just said. Since they gave me this angle measure, it intercepts that arc. So I'm setting myself up. The measure of angle CDW is on the circle, so it's half its intercepted arc. I know this to be 40. Double both sides, and I get 80. So the arc is 80 degrees. So if this is 80 degrees, that makes the highlighted arc 100 degrees, because this is 80, 180. I can go ahead and write it out. 80 plus question mark equals 180, because that's the two arcs that are making up that semicircle. Subtract 80 from both sides. The question mark is going to be 100 degrees. Now, number 8. Here, again, they're giving me, the question mark is finding this angle. Now this angle intercepts this arc. And I know the total, since this is a diameter, this is a semicircle, which is 180. Which makes, if this is 180 and 120 is here, this has got to be 60. You know these two have to add up to 180. 60 and 120 would add up to 180. So if that's 60, vertex is on. My equation then would be the measure of the angle equals half the arc. If I plug in my measure of my angle is my question mark, 1/2, the arc is 60. So I'm multiplying those, and I get the question mark to be 30 degrees. And that's number 8. Moving to the back, number 10. Here it says, find the measure of the arc or angle indicated. Assume lines that appear tangent are tangent. Well, number 10, we don't have any tangent lines. We don't have to worry about that. But we do have a point in the circle. We're inside the circle. If it's inside, this angle will be the average of the two arcs. That's how I'm always thinking of it. The equation is the measure of the angle equals 1/2 arc plus arc. And again, highlighting what we're looking for this arc. And we also have this angle intercepting that arc, and we have its opposite angle intercepting this arc. So we have this, and we have that angle. Now I can go ahead and plug those in. The angle goes in for the measure of the angle, 103. The arc, one of them is a question mark, and one of them is 51 degrees. I always like to double both sides, get rid of the fraction first. So you got 206 equals, and this is all algebra. You can do it how you want. There's a couple different ways you could do it, but I would assume getting rid of that fraction would make many of you happy so that you don't have to mess with that. Subtract 51 from both sides, and we get 155. So question mark should equal 155. If I add those two together, I get 206. Feeling pretty good about that answer. And that is going to be my question mark, is 155 degrees. Next one. Here. Now we have the vertex outside. I always tell my class, outsiders we like to subtract. So we have the measure of the angle equals 1/2 arc minus arc. What am I talking about? Well, first of all, what was I looking for? I'm looking for that angle. Well, that's this angle. And then it intercepts this arc and this arc. Since they gave us both of those arcs, it makes it really easy. When we plug this in, we get question mark is the angle. Arc, the bigger arc, we always put first. 215 degrees minus the 95 degrees. That means the question mark equals half of 215 minus 95 would be 120. So 120, half of 120, the question mark would be equal to 60 degrees. Okay. Continuing on, looking for what they indicated here. They're just straight up telling us. Find the measure of WVU. WVU is this angle, which is represented as 93x minus 1. And again, it's on the circle, so we have the measure of the angle equals 1/2 the arc. Plug those in. The angle measure was expressed as 93x minus 1. 1/2 the arc. The arc is 184x. Usually I like to double both sides, but here it's so easy to go ahead and split this in two, and you get 92x. And this is 93x minus 1. I like to keep my coefficient to my variable positive, so I'm going to subtract 92x from both sides. I get x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides, x equals 1. Solve for x now. Now remember, I'm looking for the measure of angle WVU, and I said that was 93 minus x. 93x minus 1. So I have 93 times 1 minus 1. 93 minus 1 is 92. So the measure of the angle WVU would be 92 degrees. And the last one. Now we're looking for CBD. That's expressed as 100x. So, and the vertex is inside, so the measure of the angle equals 1/2. Inside means we add, so we take arc plus arc. Go ahead and put in the numbers we know. 100x equals 1/2. Arc is 150x plus 50. In this case, I would double both sides. You get 200x equals 150x plus 50. Subtract 150x from both sides, you get 50x equals 50. Divide by 50, you get x equals 1. X equals 1 again. Okay, well anyway, the measure of the angle, remember, is CBD is what the angle we're looking for. That was 100x. So 100 times 1 is going to be 100 degrees. That's the measure of CBD. And I circle that, and I'm done. So that is several examples. Those are the evens for that worksheet over arc and angle relationships. Thank you.